We've talked about factors and greatest common factor, or GCF, and now let's talk about multiples and least common multiple. So if you remember, multiples are the products of your starting number and another whole number, or in other words, the times tables for that number. If I ask you for the multiples, let's say if I say to you, what are 5 multiples of 5? You would say 5, which is 5 times 1, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Okay, these are multiples of 5 because they're all the product of 5 and another whole number. Okay, 5 is 5 times 1, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3, 15, 5 times 4, 20, and 5 times 5 is 25. Now, if we want to think about common multiples, if I said to you, what are the common multiples of, let's say, 3 and 4, okay? We want common multiples. Okay. The best way to do it, I think, is to make a little chart like this. It's kind of like a horizontal T-chart, okay? So here we're going to put 3, and here we're going to put 4. Now, unlike common factors, we're not going to find the greatest common multiple because there is no greatest common multiple. Remember, we said every time I give you a high multiple of 3, you can add another 3 and give me another one. So there are an infinite number of multiples for each number. There are actually an infinite number of common multiples for every 2 numbers. But we want the lowest one. We want the least common multiple. So I'm going to list the multiples of 3, starting with 3, which is 3 times 1. Always include the number. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. And for 4, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. And again, we can go on and on. So these are all, let's see. These are all multiples of 3 and multiples of 4. And if I look at this. 12. And if I went on, I would have 24 here. Okay, and we have 24. Are there any other common multiples that you can see? No. Okay, so the easy thing to do is, because these are common multiples, now we're going to look for the least common multiple, or the lowest number that is a multiple of both. And in this case, you can see that the lowest or least common multiple of 3 and 4 is 12. So the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. Okay. Now let's take another example, just because I'd like to show you something that could happen when you're looking for least common multiples. Right. So if I say to you, find the LCM of, let's say, 8 and 16. Okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to list multiples of 8, multiples of 16. So here I go. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, oops, 48. I think that's enough. And then here for 16, it's going to be 16 and 32 and 48. Well, you might notice here that the first number they have in common is 16. So the LCM of 8 and 16 is 8. Okay, now that's because if you look, you can see that 16 is actually the second multiple of 8. Okay, so if, let's take note of this, if one of your numbers is a multiple of the other, then the greater of the two is the LCM. Okay, just to clarify, I'll give you another example. So for example, if I want to find the LCM of 3 and 6, I know the LCM is 6 because 6 is a multiple of 3. Okay, the LCM of, let's say, 5 and 10 is 10, right? Because 10 is a multiple of 5. And the LCM of, let's say, 10 and 50 would be 50 because 50 is a multiple of 10. So that's a kind of an easy way to find the LCM when one number is a multiple of another. Okay, remember, 1 is a factor of every number, but never include 1 in your multiples. Okay, the lowest multiple of a number is the number itself. So the lowest multiple of 4 is 4. The lowest multiple of 16 is 16. So let's write that down. Let's change the color. Okay, every number is the first or lowest multiple of itself. Okay, and that's the story of multiples, common multiples, and least common multiple.